Hello and welcome back to another edition of Catholic Bible Reviews. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the new revised standard version Catholic edition that was released from the new Harper Collins imprint Catholic Bible Press. I was really excited to see this release because there's not a huge selection of wide margin Catholic Bibles out there. So let alone ones that are made for journaling type work. So I was really excited to get my hands on this and test it out. And I want to say a huge shout out, thank you to Harper Collins for sending me this. They sent me one free of charge for review. And I really appreciate it because there was no ways I was going to get my hands on that anytime soon without their help. So they didn't direct me on what to say or give me any guidance. So I'm just going to try to take an honest look at what this Bible is going to be good for, what its shortcomings might be, and who might be interested in owning this Bible. So let's go ahead and take a look at the case here. And you can see I've had it out, so you can see I accidentally shut the ribbon in here, but the box is really nice. I have kept a hold of it. I put my Bible in there every time I've gotten done using it. This is the leather soft cover. And you can see some of the specs on back here, that it does include the deuterocanonical books, extra wide margins, opaque Bible paper, short introductions to all the books of the Bible, Smith sewn binding that lays flat, 2 satin ribbon markers, 9-point print in the comfort print typeface, and this is the anglicized text of the NRSV. And I'm going to zoom in here so you can see their social media information. Go ahead and give them a follow. You know we need more high quality Catholic Bibles out there, so I'm excited to support anybody who's willing to do that, to give us a more wide variety of high quality Bibles. Here you can see the ISBN and the retail price. Let's go ahead, take one last look at it there, and we'll go ahead and open it up. Now, one thing I was really impressed with upon opening this Bible was just this really lovely cover they have going on here. It has a wonderful color to it, a kind of mottled brown and black, with this really lovely imprinted bronze and gold design here. You can see that is inlaid into the cover. The text here is also very nice. However, it is not inlaid. It is printed on top of the cover. I'll go ahead and take it out. Remove this. Here's a closer look at it. You can see, looking at the side there, what I mean of it being printed on top rather than embossed in there. And that's the same way on the sides. That gold that you see is printed on the top, whereas that Catholic Bible Press logo is embossed, as well as the NRSV logo there. Now, as far as how this cover feels, this is leather soft, which to my knowledge it's kind of a name brand bonded leather in a way. It's not pure leather, it's leather mixed with, I believe, a polyurethane to kind of give it a consistently nice texture all around. And it does feel great. To compare, I went ahead and I pulled out something I hadn't actually gotten out in a while, which is my old NIV Life Application Study Bible from Zondervan with the bonded leather cover. You can see back here, and you can see I have not taken good care of this over the years. It was in storage and got some damage to it, and actually for the situations it's been through has held up remarkably well. But you can feel on this bonded leather that it has kind of a stiffness to it and almost like a plasticky feel that this does not have that. This is very small, soft, a little bit more flexible doesn't have that plastic kind of tone to it. Also to compare, let's compare it with this one, the Great Adventure Study Bible that I did an in-depth view on not too long ago. This one has the alpha cowhide synthetic. So if I went ahead and compared these, this one also, its cover is probably actually a little more soft and more flexible, whereas this does have a little more stiffness to it than this one does. I would say it feels a little more durable. This one's very soft in a way. It has an almost squishy texture. I hesitate to say that, but squishy. And because it has like a polyurethane coat on it almost, which in some ways is great because it's easy to clean up. It's not going to get like stained or anything super easy, but it does give it kind of a slick feel that most leathers wouldn't, I don't think, would have. This one definitely feels less slick, and you can feel that texture coming through on here. Now the last one that I wanted to compare it to in terms of texture, oops, sorry about that, was this old Cambridge turquoise I have, which, I mean, obviously it's not a one-to-one comparison at all, but you can see it kind of mimics the same amount of give versus stiffness that this cover provides. And this is French Moroccan leather. So you can see that if you're familiar with that type of leather, it's going to have about the same amount of give, and it feels, I don't know, I would say it feels very comparable to that. Of course, the grain feels a different texture, but as far as the feeling in the hand, the flexibility and durability, I would say it really does a good job of mimicking that. So I was very pleased with that. And I'll let you go ahead and take a look at the binding here. You can see it's getting a little bit of a zigzag in there. I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe some of you guys who know a little bit more about the binding can let me know if that's a problem, but it is a sewn binding. And these two ribbons that it has, I'm a really big fan of. I haven't used it long enough to really know how these are going to hold up in the long term, but they are a little bit wider than the ones in the Great Adventure Bible, and I love the color scheme. I love that brown and bronze there. And you can see they do have the gold edges, and I have kind of nicked it up a little bit since I got it, but it's actually held up pretty well. I've put it back in the box. You can see this streak here on the side was there right out of the box. But other than that, really beautiful job. That was the only flaw that was there out of the box that I noticed. The rest of it was good, and any other ones that you can see here on screen were put there just by me. I've been pretty open with the fact that I'm not super gentle with my Bibles. Here's your end pages. Here's that. You can see it. Maybe it's coming up just a little bit here, but just at the corners. But nothing I'm too worried about. Not a presentation page, but a belonging to page. Cover page. And you can see this is the NRSV Catholic Edition Anglicized Text Bible. And according to my research, what that anglicized means is that some certain things have been changed to coincide more with what would be considered more British standard English rather than American English. In the reading that I've done, nothing has stood out to me so far as being odd or hard to understand in terms of that. Here's once again the logo imprint of Harper Collins. Now, I also wanted to touch on, let's get a shot of the imprimaturs there. And there you go. All right, here's your table of contents, pretty standard. Now, one thing that you will notice, which is one of the difference between the NRSV with Apocrypha and the NRSV Catholic edition, is that the deuterocanonical books are in with all the others. So in the Catholic ordering in the Bible, rather than being set aside in a separate portion of the Bible. And to show you what I mean with that, I'm going to bring out my other NRSV that I have, which is the New Interpreter's Study Bible, which is the NRSV with Apocrypha as opposed to the Catholic edition. And so I'll open it up. Let me show you the table of contents. This one's in kind of rough condition. I've had it for a while, so you can see here's the Old Testament. And then you can see here it has a section all on its own of the deuterocanonical books set aside from the rest of Scripture. So you can see, like, for example, this would typically, these are all the additions to Daniel. Here separated in a different location, and it gives you an introduction here as part of that study Bible. And then you get to that deuterocanonical content separated out. And then you'll come to the Susanna and Bell and the Dragon, and it's just like that all the way through. So, in comparison with that, you can come, let's go over here. 1077. ARA, you can see they're right there, but they also, what I wanted to point out to you was that they do not have so here you can see the story of Susanna. It's right in there. It's not italicized. There's nothing in there that would say that it's different necessarily. So if that's something that's important to you, just know that the deuterocanonical books are in there, and they don't have, there's the Song of the Three Jews. So they are in there, and they're not italicized or anything. They're just going to be in your scripture like anything else. So there's your table of contents, your abbreviation. All these things are pretty standard. You have your introduction to the New Catholic, the New Revised Standard Version Catholic edition, the Anglicized edition, and to the reader preface. And I'll be honest, I have not read these. I might go back to do that if anyone's interested, or I have also considered doing a video talking about the different translations, like the NRSV, that I know some people are very adamantly opposed to, and I actually used to be one of those people that was adamantly opposed to using this translation for specific reasons, but I have changed my mind on that issue over the years. So if anybody's interested in hearing those thoughts or having that conversation, I'm willing to do that. Just let me know. Drop a comment in the boxes below. Okay, so here's Genesis, and you can see as far as the lay flat claim goes, I mean, it's kind of, it's not going to be perfect right at Genesis, and honestly, I don't really expect that. I think that's a lot to ask, but it does a pretty good job. And I wanted to show you these margins, which are really the highlight of the Bible here, because they offer a dot grid rather than just lines or just a blank space. And I really like that. I think it's genius. I think it offers benefits to both people who write notes, who might want to write vertically, down this way instead of, across these short lines. And it also offers a lot to artists who might use the dot grid to plan out their layouts for their work. Now here you can see where they do the footnotes, which is at the bottom of the margins instead of at the bottom of the columns of text. And that is because if you flip over to a full chapter, you can see there is not really room at the bottom for anything for footnotes. So they moved them over to the side to the wide margin. Great decision. This text, I mean, you can see they basically put all their margin space there at the edge. The top has no margins. The gutters are coming in pretty close, and there's not much space at the bottom. And to me, this text, it does run very close together. The font for me is easy to read. The only thing that makes it difficult is how close the lines are to one another. There's not much space in between there in the two lines, which means for me to read, I'm following along with a ruler or a flat edge to keep my place, or else I jump. And that's not a problem I typically have. But I'll show you, I did go ahead and read all of Philippians in one sitting to kind of get an idea of how it would go in the long term. And I mean, that Philippians is not a long book, you know, it's 4 chapters, but it was hard at some moments for my eyes to keep track of where I was going. Now you can see I did some artwork, and I also did some note taking, so we could get an idea of how it would hold up to both of those things. This has some highlights and it has some notes, and you can see, in my opinion, here we go, I'll zoom in here for you. I mean, I think it took those really well, and you can see on the other side, I mean, the ghosting is, I mean, it's not bad at all. It's pretty much what I would expect from the paper that you have in here, and I think it did great. I really think it held up well, and you can see this is done in gouache, which is basically an opaque watercolor. I mean, really, there's hardly any ghosting really overall. I could go back and do another piece of artwork over the top of that and not have a problem. It did have buckling, which is standard. That's something you expect with a book like that, so that's nothing I would hold against it or even put in the negative column. That's just normal. But overall, I was really surprised with how well it handled. I'll go back here. Let's see. I did another piece here. You can see show through, not really bad at all. This had gouache, it had ink, it had color pencil, held up great. Here's the other piece I did in the Psalms. Once again, gouache. This one I think was all gouache, no ink, no color pencil, and it did fantastic. Oh, I take that back. This down here, the writing was in ink. The rest was in gouache. Once again, I mean, fantastic. Just, I was blown away with how well that handled. Now I'll show you in back. You go pretty much straight from Revelation. You get one front and back blank page, and then you're to the note regarding the type. And I'll get that on the screen. If anybody's interested in that, you can pause it and give it a read. So you're not getting a bunch of extra note space at the end, but that's because your note space is in the margins in the text. I did some highlight tests here. You can see the amount of ghosting I would say is pretty standard here. These up here are the zebra mild liners, and those show through a little more than the pilot friction here. And here's what they look like on the page. And you can see these are my gel pen writings, and they barely showed through it all. So overall, I'm super impressed with this Bible, and I'm having a blast with it. I never thought of myself as a Bible journaler per se. You know, I've always been I've been a painter, but this is just really kicked it up a notch for me, I'd say. I was thinking I was going to have this filled up with notes front and back all the way through, but I think I'm going to be doing more of the pictures. I think I'm probably going to lean a little farther that way for this Bible, just because honestly I feel like the cover is so beautiful, and with the gilded edges and this really pretty ribbon, I just feel like I don't know. I feel like the illuminated look kind of goes really well with the design, so I'm probably going to keep going with that, going in that direction with it. But certainly you could use it to do some good studies. So let me, to wrap up, let me give you my thoughts. As far as daily reading goes, I am still in my Great Adventure Bible. This is where I do my daily reading. The font and the design in here is just, it's really comfortable on my eyes. It's really comfortable on my eyes. It's easy to read for extended periods of time. So for my daily reader, that's still my first choice, even though it does have some problems with like the binding and the cover is getting a little roughed up now. And the reason that that's staying my daily reader is just because this print gets so condensed feels so dense at some points, especially when you're getting into like, I mean, these narrative blocks. That's a lot of words in a very small space, and I understand why they did that. You have to make some sacrifices to get the wide margins. So I think it was worth that. However, that means it's not going to be my daily reader. And I should say my reader for when I want to read long blocks of text. If I'm studying one specific short block of text, or I'm doing maybe some kind of lectio divina where I'm doing a really prayerful reading of the scripture, or a kind of contemplation of the scripture, and I'm noting down those prayers and those meditations in the side, I think it would be great for that. For the visual artwork, fantastic. For note-taking, if you're watching a Bible study, like in this instance, I was watching the Augustine Institute's study on Philippians and taking notes as I watched it. It worked really well for that. So overall, I think if you're looking for a wide margin Catholic Bible, this is a fantastic option for you. I haven't used it long enough to say that it's going to be super durable, but it feels like it's going to hold up in the long term. And I'm super excited to see where it goes from here and what projects I can get done with it. So hopefully I'll have a chance to share more as I get that done. Thank you, and share your thoughts, or if you have any questions, ask them below and I'll do what I can to get them answered. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful day.